Hello, this is another first take video. I will do a little bit of editing. I'm going to share a poem. The reason for that will soon enough become clear. But I'm going to talk about an episode that my brain replays to torture me because my brain likes to do that. This episode happened in 2001. 2001, yeah. Just after 9/11. So I had just moved into a house in Cambridge in my second year at university, and I was house sharing with three other people. Um, Spoiler: one of the people I was sharing a house with became my wife. But obviously I didn't know that at the time. So I moved into this house. I was the first one there, 4-bedroom house in Cambridge, and essentially had time to kill until term started. I can't remember why I went there early. My mum probably wanted to get rid of me. I did what I think a lot of people do. I went to the student bar, or any bar. I went to the student bar, my safe place. I spent a lot of time there my first year, and this was the start of my second year. And I was drinking on my own, and I got quite drunk, and I met this girl, female student, and I was I was drunk enough to have a conversation with this student, but not drunk enough to forget all the embarrassing things that I said. Um, I, like I said, my brain regularly replays this encounter, and uh, I'm I'm mortified by it, even though it's 21 years ago, over 21 years ago. I was speaking to this student. Never met her before, and bizarrely seemed to get on very well with her. Woke up the next day, probably with a hangover. Although, like I said, I can remember, clearly because I'm talking about it now. I remember what I said. So maybe I didn't have a hangover, but I did. I'm certain that I thought, why did I say these things? That was awful. Why did you act like such an idiot? And then I found out, like, 2 or 3 weeks later, that she'd been trying to look for me because we'd not exchanged phone numbers. I don't think he even had a phone. She spent weeks looking for me. And I was like, well, why? I was an idiot. And anyway, we finally met up. And we kind of started going out. I say kind of because I don't think we ever explicitly said, like, we're boyfriend and girlfriend now. I think for an autistic person, that's probably quite an important declaration, so you know where you stand. And that's kind of the point of this video. It's like that flirting and the game is just a minefield of uncertainty. And I just never have understood it. But I'm talking about this one episode in particular because it seemed that for once in my life, I managed to play the game, but I'm reflecting on it through, a late diagnosed autistic lens because I think about it more than I probably should. And it's not because I'm proud of having found a girlfriend or proud of the fact that I played the flirting game successfully for once and the only time in my life. I'm talking about it because I think it's an interesting way of uncovering how my autistic brain works and how potentially other people's autistic brains work. I kind of ended up going out with this student, but when I was sober, like spending time with her sober, I found it really, really hard to just talk. Um, and I remember being in her room. She was renting in another house just down the road, and I was looking through her CD collection because this was, in the olden days. We all had CDs, and I just remember us talking about Patti Smith and the album Horses. Now, this makes a lot of sense to me now because if you've watched some of my videos, you'll know how obsessed with music I am. And I remember having a conversation about Patti Smith. Now, I wasn't really that much of a fan of Patti Smith, but the common ground was music. Um, but I just remember being in her room and it was sort of silent torture, um, which is an exaggeration, but I just really, really struggled to have a conversation, to pass the time, without some sort of prompt, some sort of hook to hang the conversation on. And I remember we went back to my room, um, not the same day, a different day, and I remember she made a comment about how my CDs were from a particular time in history, like mid 90s, late 90s. So I refreshed the screen again because I have got some notes. Um, and she made an aside about how sort of limited my music range was. But other than that, all I remember from our fleeting relationship, because we didn't last long, spoiler alert again, um, uh, all I really remember was just the intense difficulty I had in having a conversation. When that first time we met, because I was under the influence, it was easy peasy, and I was talking like, this horrible, chauvinistic, you know, lad. And I'm not going to go into exactly what I said, but it just is full of cringe. And she seemed to like that version of me. But then the sober, um, unknowingly autistic, very anxious person, she she didn't seem to get on with that one. Um, and yeah, I kind of, part of me wishes that I was able to just talk and not be so anxious and not overanalyze everything I needed to say or wanted to say. Um, it wasn't meant to be, but it, I don't. I focus more on that anxiety I had when I was with her and I was sober. And I focus on the initial cringe-inducing conversation we had while I was drunk, and I just sort of rack my brains and think, "Well, why can't I just get it right? Like most people seem to. They flirt, they go out with someone else, and it works or it doesn't, and you know, no worries, just move on if it doesn't work out, and if it does work out, then great. But no, my brain decides to berate myself for the initial silly conversation and the inability to just maintain a normal relationship. Um, that said, um, I did, the other three people turned up to the house sort of late September 2001. And um, yeah, 6 months later, I ended up going out with Rachel, my wife, and we didn't get married. Within 6 months, we got married some years later. But there was no sort of dancing around the point like flirting is sort of meant to be. We didn't, you know, there was no sort of chase involved. It was just, we ended up talking, um, watching a lot of MTV2, and it just happened. Um, we became a couple, and in fact, today, the day I'm recording this is our anniversary. It's 2002. Yeah, 23 years. Um, so yeah, it just happened. There's no agonizing flirting going on. Um, and I've always found it very easy just to be around Rachel, which I've never really experienced with anyone else. Excuse me, should have drunk some water before this. uh, yeah, normally it'd be, well, what do I say? Or how do I sit? And, don't be too boring. Don't monologue. Make sure you're nodding when someone else is talking and all that sort of commentary that, you know, every day in my life with other people, I do. Like consciously telling myself how to say things, how to move my body. It sounds ridiculous unless you're autistic. But with Rachel, it's always been just as easy as breathing, really. And I wrote this poem, which you might find a little bit. Well, I'm just going to be sincere. Just share the poem. Whatever you think about it, well, you can let me know in the comments, or just keep it to yourself. So this poem is called Love. I have never felt peace with anyone else like I do with you. We didn't fall in love. It wasn't quick or scary. It was gradual and natural as sunrise. No drama. That distant star doing what it does, while my hand is at home in yours. I think the main thing I'm trying to get across there is the no drama. Um, I don't really like a lot of drama, unless it's fiction, unless it's a film, a book, or a song. But in real life, I want things to be peaceful. And you know, to go back to the subject of flirting, flirting is inherently dramatic because you don't quite know what's going to happen next, and there's that this inbuilt uncertainty, and uncertainty is not something that I want in my life. I'm autistic. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know where I stand. I want to be prepared. I want to be comfortable and safe. And flirting, yeah, okay, it's it's not a dangerous pursuit, or I don't think it should be. But flirting is, like I've said, it's all about not quite knowing what's going to happen next, or maybe you are meant to know what happens next. Maybe you only flirt with someone who you know for a fact you will end up being with. But I don't think that's the case. I think people flirt just for the sake of it, and flirt because they hope that they might end up going out with someone, but they don't actually know. And that's what I'm trying to say. Is like you don't actually know what's going to happen. And the rejection, the threat of rejection. And as an autistic person, I'm very used to rejection. So that's why flirting not really for me. And why that's if I was single, I would really struggle with it still, because of the likelihood of being hurt. So, flirting is based. I'm reading from my notes there. See, I've got a script really. See, flirting is a problem also because you don't have a script. You can't say, oh, you look nice today. Your hair looks very nice today. You can't read from a script with flirting, can you? So flirting is based on an assumption of desirability. And I don't think I'm desirable. And that's not, again, is to get people to hurriedly or casually in their own sweet time add comments underneath this video, say, "Oh, Neil, you're so handsome." I'm not on about that. I'm not after any comments like that. Trust me. But you have to be confident. You have to assume that there's something you have that another person wants. And I've always assumed that I'm a very anxious person with very narrow interests. And I'd be extremely lucky to meet anyone who would be interested in what I'm interested in and want to spend a lot of time with me. Um, and yet I've been with someone for 23 years who seems to be able to tolerate me, um, tolerate this channel, the increasing amount of time that I spend on YouTube, following my interests. But, she knows that it's important to me. The advocacy, the connection with other autistic people, and regulating my mood, my emotions. So yeah, a video about flirting, an unscripted video about flirting, the look of love. Clickbaity thumbnail again, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a rubbish thumbnail. I don't know. Um, I just thought the look of love sounds good. Um, Refresh my screen again. Yeah. So she tolerates that. It's a bit of fun. But more importantly than all of that, I hope that me rambling about that episode 20 odd years ago and the subsequent meandering thoughts about flirting, I hope that there's something there that resonates with anyone. You know, the flirting as being an anxiety-ridden game that I don't understand, and the years later analysis of my cringeworthy comments and inability to have a normal conversation with someone who likes me. Maybe that's something that resonates with you as well. So yeah, you're not alone in that. I think it's probably quite a common autistic trait to both struggle with flirting and to overanalyze afterwards, because we want things to be right, and we want to know what's going to happen. And flirting is, in my view, not conducive to that. And we always want things to be, but like I said, we want them to go right, want them to be perfect. Maybe that's OCD/autism. Again, that's something I would need to look into. But anyway, thank you again for listening. If you got this far, I'm not quite sure what I'll ramble on about next. I'm sure I will think of something. But in the meantime, take care and thank you for listening.